All right. Hello and good morning, Keller Williams, Greater Metropolitan, and welcome to the last day of the month, the last sales meeting of the month, and my personal favorite, as we will be sending the responsibility and the mic around the horn to several different members of our leadership team to talk a little bit about everything going on in their world and how it impacts what's going on in your world. So today, like every other day, we want to start by revisiting our belief system. And given the context of today's conversations, the fact that we're going to hear from everybody on the leadership team, and the fact at the top of the hour, we're going to hear a conversation between myself, Jake Lohser, and Scott Phillips, the appropriate one to highlight today from our belief system is teamwork. Together, everyone achieves more. The culture of this company is one that thrives on teamwork, and we have more and better agents than anybody else in Northeast Ohio. And the fact that when they all work together, we are able to achieve such incredible things is a testament to why this is such an important thing for us to focus on, and why it is such a powerful thing for every agent in this company. So as we do every week, I want to throw up some listing stats for all of you, and also encourage everybody, whatever listings that you have coming, ones that are going to be dialed up right after the Labor Day holiday, anything that just hit the market, anything that just took a price reduction, anything that's anything as it relates to listings, go ahead and drop that in the chat, create some awareness, get a little buzz going, and maybe even find yourself a buyer on the other side of this opportunity. Just a quick update on where we sit through the weekend. We, in the month of August, we are down in the high single digits on listings year over year, and our entire market is down in the low single digits. So nothing to hit the panic button about there, but also important to understand where we are and are not keeping pace with the market. We still continue to lead the market in units and volume closed. And we know that our biggest and best way to control that is to focus on listings. So kudos to all of you who have had a great month in listings. And we'll look forward to celebrating you as we get into September. All right, guys, we are going to start by throwing it over to Danielle Sullivan, who's going to take us through some really exciting stuff on the horizon. You're looking at the first official glance of the September 2021 training calendar. Danielle, take it away.
Morning, everyone. So this will be dropping in your inbox shortly, probably right after the sales meeting this morning. So typical team meetings on Tuesdays, we are going to take a break the day after Labor Day, so enjoy your nice long weekend. Last chance for your core law CE, which is on the 9th. It is good for 3 hours of law. So if you've been begging us to bring it back and you don't have a ticket, it is your chance to get one. There's only about 8 tickets left. It is going to be held in our Pepper Pike office, and due to COVID guidelines, we can't pack the room like we typically do. So I'll drop that link in the chat box in a minute. The next thing we have is the Map to Cap program coming. So this is something new. If you are a capper or you are not a capper, we invite you to join us. This is a 3-part series starting the 16th of September. It is led by the newest leaders in our company who are capping in their second, third, first year of real estate. So they're coming in to give you some tips and tricks, talk about coaching, talk about what they did, talk about some of their wins, talk about some of their opportunities. So this is going to be held in the Pepper Pike and Rocky River office. Not sure if there will be a Zoom option. That is to come. So you do have to register for that. Again, I will drop that into the chat box. This is a do not miss. These people are in the office every single day making calls. You see them around here. So if you want to learn from them, you got to come. And then, Mike, if you'll just hop back to the calendar, thanks. And then the other big event that we're hosting is our live listing presentation. So this is going to be with Colleen Miklas. If you've been to one of these before, it's very fun, very interactive. We take the training room upstairs in our Pepper Pike office and totally transform it into a fake house. Colleen will come. Colleen will bring sellers, and she will do a live listing presentation in front of you. She's going to share some tips with you. She's going to walk you through how she does it. She's going to take you on a walk through the house, so it's a very interactive class. This will not be via Zoom because it doesn't work like that. So we'll go Facebook Live as much as we can. Again, we'll be moving the camera around a little bit. So if you do want a ticket to that, same thing, you're going to have to register for it. So you'll see the link for that too. As I drop some stuff into the chat box, we are using Eventbrite for all of our tickets right now, so that we can make sure that we are maintaining the distance that we need to. So I'm gonna drop the link in for our Eventbrite. I would just follow us on Eventbrite. When you get the link, there's a follow option at the bottom. That way, every time that we post a training, you'll get an email, and then you'll be able to register for that training right away. And Ceara is actually going to talk about some continuing education that we have coming up. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drop the link in, and you can follow us. And every single class that we have right now is on Eventbrite. So if you want a ticket, that's the way to get it. Mike, anything else there?
Before we jump over to Ceara, just wanted to let you know what you have coming for your weekly sales meetings. Very excited about what we have coming on the 14th and the 21st. We will be diving into a Keller Williams favorite, the 6 personal perspectives on the 14th. And that conversation is going to be led by an agent in our office, Eddie Donnelly, who actually has a team here in the Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan and also one in Asheville, North Carolina. And Eddie will be joining us on the 14th because on the 21st, he is doing his live audition for being a bold coach. So Eddie is a master of KW's models and systems, and will be taking us through some very powerful ones with the 6 personal perspectives. And then on the 21st, we will be hearing from Liz Kosminski, a transaction coordinator for hire here in our office, and she will be talking about building systems that allow your business to scale. This is something that we talk a lot about as a company, models and systems, and she's going to be getting into what does it actually look like to have a pattern of behavior that allows you to ensure that everything's happening when it needs to. All right. And then just a quick plug, as always, the last Tuesday of the month, September 28th, we will be hosting a career night on both sides of town and on Zoom. We had a fantastic turnout for August. We had some great folks in the room, both guests and agents. Please know that if you are sending someone, we would love for you to join them. We would love for you to echo the commentary that we bring to the table. And as always, really appreciate your investment in helping us grow this company with the right people. All right, over to you, Ceara, about continuing education. We got a lot on the horizon.
Good morning, everybody. I know that Danielle mentioned the core law class. I just wanted to reiterate that this is a class that's required for your 30-hour renewal. So you can use this to fill one of those requirements for your renewal. Then on October 28th, we have the messy details of a transaction. This is going to go over the good, the bad, and the ugly of a transaction and everything you need to know in between. On November 8th, the messy details is also a 3-hour CE. And then November 8th, we have our business planning clinic. That's a 6-hour course. It'll get you the 6 hours of CE that you can also use on your renewal. And then on December 2nd, we have certified property staging certificate course. This is a really cool course. It is 6 hours of CE, but it also will get you the staging certification. So if you're interested in that, it's a lot of fun. Danielle was dropping those links in, so make sure that you sign up. These are all in person and seating is limited. And I think that's all I've got, Mike. Anything from you about CE?
No, guys, just make sure you get these on your calendar. Take advantage of them. It is our goal, right? You all filled out a survey back in June, and we heard you say that, we need more CE in the office. You want to make it easier to get my 30 hours just by showing up and learning. And that's what we're doing. So this will continue forward. The CEs in November and December are going to be very big, very impactful to your business. So please make sure you cover your calendar for those right now. Well worth the investment of time, energy, and resources.
Hey, Mike, and if I can, just real quickly, For those of you who have been to the business planning clinic before, we typically host one on the east side and one on the west side. So I realize you guys are only seeing one date there. We are just hosting you guys all together at an offsite location. So for those of you that do see that on there, it'll be at an offsite location. So we'll have the entire office hopefully in one spot this year. So that's the only clarification I want to give you.
Yeah, that's going to be a blast. All right, excellent. Now we'll throw it over to Julia Cumming to talk a little bit about dues. They call them dues because they're due.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to remind you that the MLS mid-year dues are due this Friday, September 3rd. So it's really simple. You can go to mlsnow.com, and this is what the home screen looks like. And there's a link that says pay your dues. You'll log in with your MLS ID and password, and it will take you right to pay those. They're $228. And there will be a late fee assessed after September 3rd, and you will lose access to the MLS following failure to not pay. So it's super important. You don't want to lose that over the holiday weekend. So make sure that those MLS dues are paid September and March annually. And while we're talking about dues, I just want to remind everyone that board due emails are going to start coming up in the fourth quarter. And I'm going to pass this over to Kari to talk about ways to prepare for that.
Take it away, Kari. Take it away, Kari.
Oh, I was muted. I am going to talk a little bit about what training savings are. It is money that is set aside by you guys from your closings that we hold for you and that you can withdraw at a later date. So how it works is if you have a closing and you want to put aside maybe $100 from that, we'll hold on to it for you until you are ready to have it withdrawn. Training savings are best used for things like your board dues, so the MLS or ACAR, which would be coming up, or if you want to save for training events like family reunion or mega camp or other business expenses. Training savings aren't really to be used as a personal savings account, so if you're saving up for a new pair of shoes, probably best if you just hold on to that money. But if you want to contribute to your training savings, you can add a note into your commission request, so it's right above the submit button. There's a little example to the left. Or if you want to put aside a set amount from every closing, so for example, $50 or something, you can email me and I can get that set up in our system so you don't have to add it every time. But yeah, training savings are a great resource to have to just set it and forget it. And then when it's time for dues or you want to go to family reunion or something, you can reach out to myself or Julia and ask how much is in your account. And we can let you know and get that deposited to you.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Kari. And everyone, please take advantage of this. It takes a lot of the pain and a lot of the stress out of, oh, I have this due or that due, or I want to do bold, or I want to go to family reunion. If you always keep a little in there for the purpose of keeping your business active and keeping it growing, then you'll be in a really good position to take advantage of the opportunities that come your way. All right, quick reminder, today, immediately following this meeting, our Tech Tuesday, we will be covering leveraging Facebook campaigns or command campaigns, whether it's Facebook or hard copy mailers or anything that you can do to push advertising out to people in your database or people outside of your database. We'll be talking a little bit about how to build some strategies around that and also take advantage of the resources available inside of Command. All right, next we'd love to call to center stage Alison Benoit of our KW Cleveland Cares Committee to talk a little bit about an event that you've heard a few things about in the last couple of weeks, and we're going to start talking about a lot more, and that is the
like he could hold his own, but obviously his opponents, it does look bad. Floyd Mayweather, how many years? Canelo.
Not sure what just happened or who had Jim Rome on, but
me.
It wasn't me either. It's been a while since we had that one. Not sure who we admitted into the room, but Alison, sorry your thunder got stolen by Morning Talk Radio. What's going on? Tell us about the Clambake.
Well, as you all know, Keller Cares is a nonprofit organization set up expressly to help Keller Williams agents in our brokerage and in other places. But we do exist solely to help agents in need. And we have on 25 days away, is it? On Friday, September 24th, we have our biggest and our funnest extravaganza, the Keller Williams Clambake. We hold it at Mayfield Sandridge Country Club. So no jeans, collared shirts, get a little bit of your fancy on and come join us for that evening. If you do not eat clams, do not worry. There is lots of other delicious food. Most of the delicious food comes from our Princess of Pastry, Marcia Hedberg. She is always in charge of the dessert committee. So save up your calories to come and some of that deliciousness. We also have a band that plays, so there'll be some singing and dancing. We have a live auction with our favorite auctioneer, Tom Seaman, who, by the way, I hope we remembered to ask if he would be willing to do it, because now that
we've already confirmed him. That's like probably the number one thing that drives the date for the event is when it's good for Tom.
Yes, exactly. So we have some great raffle items. So far, we have some virtual reality gaming systems. We have an Apple Watch, a TV, tickets. We've got Browns, we've got Cavs, we've got just all sorts of things. It is such a fun event. It is such a great cause. Everyone, the more tickets we sell, the more successful that we are. And everybody, please, 6 o'clock, Friday, September 4th. If you can't make it right on time, don't worry about it. We're there till they kick us out at 10.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Allison. And yeah, guys, this is our largest fundraiser for KW Cares, which allows us to support agents in their times of need. It also funds Red Day and other community-based projects that we do. So don't be shy. Be there. Bring your friends, bring your family, bring your spouses, bring your clients, bring somebody off the street. It is a ball. And thank you, as always, Allison, for your leadership and support in making this thing happen. All right, next I want to throw it over to Mr. Eric Uchbar. Eric is the productivity coach in our Pepper Pike office, and he's going to give us a little update about what's going on in his program and what he's seeing work for his clients in the coaching world. Eric?
Thanks, Mike. Good morning, everyone. Have some pretty neat things going on, but on to Kari's note, actually, something for everyone to keep in mind. Just a heads up, a lot of us are making more money than we ever have before. This is everyone in the room. And I just heard something about training savings, and it's not used for this, but keep in mind, taxes are going to be due April 15th this upcoming year. I would start saving for that if you haven't already. Hopefully you're putting 20% away, 30%, something like that, but make sure you're ahead of that, especially if this is your first year of having some great success in the business. But anyways, wanted to talk a little bit about what we're seeing from our agents, what's working, what type of shifts we're seeing, things like that. Couple of quick hitters that we're having some really good success with. Number one is opens. We're starting to see open houses generating more and more buyers, and actually buyers are able to buy homes again at a little bit easier of a rate. They don't have to pay maybe 40,000 over asking, probably 5 or 10 still, but things are starting to work their way back to the buyer side. Second thing is going to be still your sphere. We're still getting tons and tons of buyers and sellers through our sphere. So now is a great time to touch base with them, as it always is, but don't forget to touch base with your sphere. We have launched another program in coaching, and this is for anyone in the office if they want to supplement business. If you're looking for more leads, we have the ability for you to have leads at no upfront cost to you. There's a referral fee at the end. We actually had a really neat story. I'll share another time. Actually, this upcoming week in coaching, I'll talk a little bit more about that a local celebrity we actually got to show a house to. And lastly, this is a really big one, and I think this is going to be something coming up here soon we're going to see more of. Our top agent right now for pending units is actually at 62 units pending. That's correct, 62 units. It is an investor. They have multiple investors they're working with. Watch for more investor units. People are selling off their portfolios because of what's going on. That agent has about $5 million in pending right now. It's unbelievable. So see what you can do with that. See if you have any investors that have 5 homes, 10 homes, 15 homes, and see how you can actually leverage those. Upcoming topics we have in coaching. If anybody has any questions or wants any more information, let me know. But one of our first ones we're going to have coming up here soon is going to be mindset. Sorry, I just got a phone call. We're going to have mindset. As we know, that's 90% of our business. Sorry, let me mute my phone here. Can you guys hear me still? Perfect, thank you. The second thing is going to be organizing transaction to close. A lot of agents who are expanding their businesses are having trouble following up with everything they have going on. One of my one-on-one questions that I always ask is, if I were to call any of your pending clients, would any of them tell me that they were disappointed in some part of your transaction? You should be asking yourself that so that you can get ahead of those items. Number 3 is going to be buyer presentation and opens. We are going to start seeing a little bit more agents wanting to work more with buyers and how to actually close at an open and not just have it at an open house. Just say, hey, if you want any more information, let me know, take my business card. That's not always going to work. We want to see how we can help these agents. And then also something a lot of agents have been asking me for, which we haven't done in a while, is going to be actually investing, not only working with investors, but also investing for yourself. Many of you know we do that typically in like February, March, but we're going to be also doing it again in coaching on the Wednesday at 11 o'clock or 5:30. So if you have questions, go ahead and reach out to me, and that's all I've got.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Eric. Some really outstanding stuff happening all throughout the industry, and great that we have you steering some of our newest agents into those activities that generate the most results. So appreciate that, and appreciate you sharing out with all of us. All right, and now over to our favorite part, and my favorite part. I love turning the mic over to Mr. Andrew Ginter, our local broker here. Andrew, if you would take it away, what do we need to know this week to make sure that we're staying in the good graces of the Ohio Division of Real Estate and those other guys called the Commission?
For sure. It's funny that what Eric just said, I think it was the second or third thing Eric said about if I called your clients in the middle of a transaction, would they be happy or not? But both of the things I'm going to talk about today have a lot to do with that. First off, I've heard the term recently for continuing ed class of bulletproof your transaction, and I'm going to call it bulletproof your license and your client's happiness along the way. I've run into a whole bunch of problems in the last couple of months with agents having zero written communication about things that have been discussed and agreed to with the other side of a transaction. So it is super, super important that you guys you got to get on the phone with the other agent. That's the only way to get deals done. But you got to follow up by email. You got to be putting stuff in writing saying, thanks for your time on the phone today. Just to reiterate, we agreed to, or we talked about, blah, 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 whatever it is, whether it's in negotiations before you have a contract or about the inspection being scheduled. And let's say you're going to be a half hour late to the inspection and you've gotten approval to have the home inspector over there before you get there from the seller. You got to get that in writing. So every little thing has got to be in writing along the way so that we don't find ourselves in a really difficult position, which is what's happening right now with a number of our agents. And then secondly, and this is just a matter of perspective. This isn't about staying out of trouble. Well, maybe it is also, but we've got to be ready to do the other agent's job. We have to assume that we need to follow up and deal with the other agent as though we think they're not going to do the things they're supposed to do. And then when they do them, that's totally fine. But something as simple as you get a listing under contract and 2 weeks into the deal, you haven't even asked the other agent about earnest money. And then on the next day, the deal blows up and there's no earnest money that's been collected. And you haven't even followed up once in writing, asking if they've deposited earnest money. And on the buyer side, asking the listing agent, 3 weeks out from closing, just want to confirm we have possession transferring on October 5th. Are the sellers going to be out? Because when we ask those questions of the other agent, sometimes it gets their brains moving and they never thought to confirm with their sellers. And then you find out the sellers thought, oh, I thought we had a week after closing to move. That's the way it was when we moved in 1988. And that's not normal, or it might not be what's in the contract. So it's really important that we're asking the other agent some clarifying questions all the time, just to make sure they're doing the things they need to be doing. Because when they don't do the things they need to do, us and our clients are the ones that get damaged. And we don't want that. So that's what, back to what Eric said, are our clients happy with us? And a lot of times that does involve doing the other person's job. So be ready to do that and ask a lot of questions to get their minds moving. That's all I got for you today, Mike.
Love that, man. Attention to detail, very powerful in any line of work, but especially those in which we deal with our clients' most valuable asset, which is for 99% of them, their home. All right, folks, thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you to everybody who was able to share out what's going on with their part of the world and how it's impacting our agents today. Apologize to our partners, our affiliate partners. Could not get to you today. Obviously got a ton happening in the market center. Would encourage you, Cross Country Mortgage, Greater Metropolitan Management, Greater Metropolitan Title, and America's Preferred Home Warranty. Please feel free to drop any updates in the Facebook group, go live into the Facebook group, take advantage of that resource as well. And we will have some time carved out for you right out of the gate on our September 14th meeting. Now I'm going to reframe this shot. Sorry, folks, it's going to get a little ugly in here. We have Jake Lohser, our operating principal, and Scott Phillips, our former operating principal, former CEO, and myself here for a little conversation this morning to help clarify a few things about what's going on with all these title changes, what's going on with all the roles. And so without any further ado, Mr. Scott Phillips Jr.
Yeah, and let me start by saying I don't apologize to Sean or Tiffany at GM Title or Cross Country. I'll give you guys a 10-second testimonial. I've got you guys on 2 deals right now together. Completely awesome, flawless. They talk to each other fluently. If you're not working with Cross Country, Sean Hadley, Don Jarecki, and GM Title together, you're missing out, because we talk about making your transactions easy. It doesn't get much easier than having those guys working together. They just knock everything out of the ballpark. So what we are here for today is to talk about what the heck everyone's up to these days. So we've got a great group of questions here to ask of our operating principal and our CEO, and wanted to kind of facilitate some conversation that might answer some of the questions that have been popping into the Facebook groups and the LinkedIn's and the emails and texts on the weekend. So let me start by saying this. Congratulations to KW Greater Metropolitan. The productivity, the performance, the profitability, the careers that are being built, this is the best that this company has ever been. It's not close. I'm impressed, just to see, hear some of the things that I hear at meetings, 62 deals in pending for one agent. I mean, like, that would have been the top producer in the entire company when Jake and I started. Hearing that's coming, down the pike, and then we can look and say, yeah, and there's people with more than that, is really bizarre to consider that sort of thing's happening. Like, just right now, current pending deals is really outstanding. So congrats to everybody who's having massive success. And, this whole evolution, this company's been open now for almost 20 years, and it really, I'd be remiss not to acknowledge that, while the 3 of us are up here, there's people who are before us who really took bigger chances. And I'm not going to name all of them, but I think 2 that you have to bring up are Nancy Emmerman, who I recently found out used to cook breakfast at the sales meetings at her house on Merwood Drive in Moreland Hills, and John Ludwig, our first operating principal, who really both put their careers, their reputation on the line to build a company that has become this almost 20 years later, and has been the home for so many of us in our businesses and our practices. Leadership teams like the ones that you're seeing and hearing from today aren't usually this big. Our market center is massive, 450 agents. A leadership team at Keller Williams usually starts with an operating principal, a team leader, and an MCA, that way, right? And, an operating principal, a team leader, an MCA, and it grows from there. And, and as the company takes on more needs, you start to find more responsibilities, and ultimately you need to make more hires and have more personnel and expand. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today is kind of the evolution of how our leadership team came to be, particularly with these two gentlemen, and talk about, how that role kind of evolved even for me in the 7 years that I was serving in their seat. So again, I want to thank the people who got us here, and also just, we have to express, there's a great level of gratitude needed to consider that we have people inside our company who are able to step up and take the roles of operating principal and CEO. I just want to put that out there. There have been times where OP changes, team leader changes, those sorts of things happen, and you get somebody from the outside who nobody knows, and no one's got any relationships with. They have to learn the company, learn the language, learn the people, learn the relationships. We built this company so big that you had people inside the company ready and willing to step up, to take charge and lead the company, and I think we're really lucky for that. So as I've mentioned, we're going to talk about what the CEO role is. We're going to talk about the operating principal role. So let's get started with CEO. I had served in that role, and that role really came to be because we just didn't have anybody. When I became operating principal, we didn't have a team leader, or our team leader had resigned right about the time that I became the OP. I was a new OP. I didn't really know how to hire, and so I just said, you know what, I'll just do both for a little bit and kind of figure that out. And that sort of became, that's the whole historical context for how I ended up in both positions for an extended period of time as OP and CEO. Many market centers, it's the team leader and CEO, depending on tenure and how long they've worked together, and that's probably more the norm. For me, it was just a matter of situation and condition. We just didn't have anybody to say, okay, this is who's in charge of the day-to-day of the staff and so forth, and how that happens. So I want to chat a little bit, as we've divided that role now as going forward, and we're going to have two different leaders, in these kinds of positions. I want to talk a little bit with Mike about what he's done to get to this point and get to these responsibilities, and for lack of a better term, interview him a little bit, and then we'll jump over to Jake here in a minute. So, Mike, your rise to leadership started a few years ago, candidly, and if I can, I don't know that it's a funny joke, but I think the only two positions I told you couldn't be in are the two that you've served in now. But talk to me a little bit about how you've embraced kind of a rise to leadership. You relocated to the city. You weren't in real estate before just a few years ago. How's that been for you?
It's been great. In short, it's been nothing short of fantastic. I spent all of my life in Ohio, mostly in Southeast Ohio, and then in Columbus, Ohio, where I went to school and started my career. And then when I moved up here, I didn't really know a lot about Cleveland, but I love it. I've embraced it, and Cleveland has, I feel like, embraced me. One of the awesome things about Cleveland is that everybody knows everybody, which is incredibly intimidating at first, being an outsider. But then when you realize, especially in a company like Keller Williams, that, hey, I know people. And so now that I'm, knowing so many great agents, I feel like I could know anybody anywhere in the city. Yeah. And so it's allowed me to take advantage of everything great that the area has to offer. I mean, as far as real estate's concerned, really just focused on being a student. I know how to run a spreadsheet. I know how to, do some valuations, and especially on the commercial side, do all the background, the behind the scenes work on the numbers. But, it's 2 years ago, sitting in the Rocky River office, listening to Jeremy Oles and Andrew Ginter and Mike Boyce and Nancy Gepford on the phone, talking, coming over here and sitting in the bullpen, popping into the phone booths, but hearing other people do it, pretending I was them when I made my calls, and then just taking advantage of the culture here. And anytime that I raised my hand to ask for help, I got it. Like, I remember my very first deal. I had no idea what an ROC was, didn't even know what it stood for. And, was able to get a couple different agents on the horn on like a Saturday afternoon to help me piece this thing together, and the deal got done. So from a real estate standpoint, I just really leaned into the culture and leaned into everybody else for help. And then from the TL role, having that opportunity, which has been tremendous. Keller Williams Realty International is a tremendous company, and we're a company of models and systems. So the first thing there was learn those, understand how the market centers runs, understand how agents' businesses run at the highest level, and then lean heavily on the amazing staff and leadership team that we have. It is uncommon, I feel, to inherit a role like TL and have a fully functioning staff. So I think for the first 6 months, I just tried not to screw anything up and stay out of everyone's way and learn a ton. And I have. And so that's what's made it so much fun in the last 18 months is the people that you get to work with.
Yeah. So you're, we started, and I don't want to replay history, but I think 3 days after you started as team leader, we shut the office down and then consequently shut down the entire planet. So you've actually never had anyone laugh at your jokes.
Well, I think everybody's on mute, so like they're laughing. We just can't
I just felt like it was, you seemed a little bit off today.
Yeah.
Jake and I were laughing
Yeah.
at your jokes.
Yeah. Well, usually it's just
through the wall.
Mhm.
All right. So when you came, we talked a little bit about, when you came to the company, you were coming in, you were going to chair a commercial, you were going to build a bit of a sales practice. And then, quickly, became the team leader and now effectively have become the CEO of the company. And I wanted to just get an idea, how have you been preparing to lead the company as CEO, as face of the franchise? How have you been preparing to do that?
Yeah, I think the preparation, what got us here will get us where we want to go to next. Anybody who's heard me talk about the company or talk about the teams inside of the company or talk about coaching programs inside of the company, everything starts with culture. That's the foundation of this organization. And the bigger and more robust we build our culture, the better off we're going to be, like the higher this thing can go. And so, from day one to day 1 million for me, it's going to be about culture. And it's going to be about bringing people into the company and keeping people in the company that are in culture and help that culture thrive. And then, the next two components are training and support, right? If we have a lot of great agents and they're really well trained, and we can put some wind in their sails and support their sales practice, their business development, and a bigger life for them, then that just the flywheel starts spinning and the culture's there. From a CEO, from this idea of like, okay, CEO, and now we're gonna continue to grow the company, what do you prepare for? I think it's just continuing to invest in relationships. We have, because of the culture, because of this company, so many great people. Our leadership team, our ALC, our past ALC, our investor partners. Like, this is not an opportunity for it to be about anything other than our agents and their businesses. And so when we activate the talent that we have inside of the company and create stronger relationships, build stronger communities for our agents to come up in, there's no limit to what we're going to achieve. So investing in relationships, investing in our existing leaders and leadership team, and then investing in, as Danielle referenced and when she was talking about Matt DeCap, the next wave of leaders. I mean, the people who have built amazing businesses inside of 36 months at this company. I mean, where they'll be in the next 36 months is going to completely reshape the way that, people do business, the way that real estate happens in Northeast Ohio, and the size of the prize for the people that are joining this company today.
So, Jake, I owe you 20 because you said that he would say culture at least 5 times. I thought it would be 4 or below. I took the under and I failed once again. So I'll get that to you after the meeting, Jake. All right, so let's shift gears here and talk a little bit with our friend Jake Lohser, operating principal. So, the operating principal role was with John Ludwig when the company opened in 2002. He sat in that role until 2014. In 2014 in July, I started in that role and served there for a little while. And, it was interesting when we went through training back then, and you'll get a kick out of this because it's so different than today for you, for sure. They used to tell us in operating principal training, the only job of the operating principal was to hire a good team leader. That was, they're like, hire a good team leader and sit back and make sure your investors show up to meetings. I mean, it was like there was nothing to it, right? And then, it was crazy. Over that 7-year period, things really started to change and evolve. And the OP became a full-time role, within the market center. And John and I bust chops about that all the time. But he says he must have seen the horizon coming. He got out at the right time and passed that all along. But so, for you, Jake, you you've been a partner now for over a decade. Now in the operating principal role. How have you seen the partnership of Merwood evolve and grow since years of my days in the old humble downtown office, which I think was about the size of this conference room?
Sure. I don't know how much time we have.
We've got plenty.
Just going back, to what you originally said, Scott, about, the original partners and their willingness to take risks, starting from the training, just it being a small group of people, but they all believed in, this idea of this company, culture. this idea of this company, and they put in their own time, but on the surface, we were a very small company. Fast forward to, you and I and, opening the downtown office. So Scott and I, back then, nobody lived in downtown. It was all rentals, there weren't the high rises, and it all kind of happened very quickly. But we were a couple of the first agents to really focus heavily in that area. And, we turned around and we went to our ownership group, and we said, hey, we want to take a risk. You guys are risk takers, support us, and let's open a business center down there. And I think, in any other company, they probably would have laughed at us, but, they saw something in us. They believed in, this idea of growing through your people, and they supported us. And, we opened that office, and, fast forward, and, that was the beginning of what now is the Rocky River office. So I think when you look at, a snapshot of the company, our company today, and when I say, this company, I know there are Keller Williams all over the place. This is the only one that I've ever really known to, live by the standards that we're talking about, and really, believe in the people and the win-win. I know I say that all the time, but I believe that. I believe that that's a huge reason people stay, because feel it when you're here. And, fast forward to today, and, like you said, Mike, when I stepped into this role of operating principal, I was blessed to have this amazing leadership team in place. You guys are knocking it out of the park. I'm doing my best to lend value where I can. But it's, all the objections that we might have had over, this growth period, I feel like are being answered, with the trainings and the value and, the talent that we've recruited, some of the newer names, the Matt Chases, Eddie Boldens, those sort of folks. Terry Shimaleski, is relatively new to my, my experience. But each time we do that, they come for the right reasons, and then they add tremendous value. And it's just, it's transformed. But what it started with, the idea in mind, I think we're seeing it through, and the future is more of the same.
So when you and you kind of answered a little of this, but talk to us a little about what's it been like for you to jump in the deep end, and what are you most excited for?
So the deep end being visceral.
Yeah.
Well, so what I would relate it to is, when you have a team, and I operate, the Lohser Real Estate Group is a relatively small team, and yet the people on our team, Morgan and Erica, have been with me for a long time. And my philosophy with our team is grow through people, give them the support that they need, and they will help build, a tremendous company. And I think it's very similar with this role. A big part of my job is, to help Mike with growth, and add value to him, and help keep him on track. And, with Julia and the MCA team, help with accountability with the running of the team, or running of the office, and, the financials, et cetera, and things like that. So it's very similar. I'm a person, I'm very learning based, so it's very exciting for me to jump into something new and to learn and to grow. So I'm loving it, and I just excited.
Nice. So, all right. So what we wanted to do really, and was talk about who does what. And this was kind of brought on by a few people, myself included. I felt like there was a lot of calls and texts that were coming in. I sent out a couple emails and said we have a new operating principal, new CEO, and I got everything from emails that sounded like my eulogy all the way to well, who do I go for this? And it occurred to me that I have a 37th email that maybe I didn't do an adequate enough job of outlining the changes that were being made and how that actually impacts our business. And I will say this, I want to start by saying this, it's not massive for our agents. I want to make sure that our agents know the business end of running your business, your independent real estate business inside this business has not changed at all. Matter of fact, I think the biggest change you guys ever felt, candidly, was probably a year and a half ago when Andrew Ginter became the principal broker. I think that's something that impacted your business day-to-day. Having to call a totally new person and when you had issues. But for the most part, these changes are on the leadership side and the vision and financial accountability, the profit share and the growth and so forth, and overseeing the systems and the people. And it's not, it should not, at the end of the day, impact your ability to list a property, to sell a property, or to help a buyer buy a property. And I want to make sure that that's really clear because we don't take any of that lightly and would never just spontaneously put your business at risk or something like that. These were very strategic decisions with the people, with the processes, with the roles, and I hope that you'll kind of hear that today. So the questions I'm going to ask these two gentlemen here are actually incredibly simple questions with complex answers, and they have promised me they're going to do their best to answer them with brevity, and succinctly, but also to help you guys get a sense of who does what here. So Jake, let's start with you. Yeah, brevity. Let's make sure he sometimes can't hear out of the left ear. So I make sure saw my lips moving. So Jake, as an OP, how does the average person in the company, if you were to define what you do as an OP, to the average person in our company, how would you define that?
So you're going to see me today and then never again. I'm going to retreat into the shadows and, just operate there. No, so seriously, I kind of touched on it. You can break it down, into three main things that, when I wake up and I put on the operating principal hat that I'm thinking about moving forward. Okay. One is the vision of the company. Okay. If we're not growing and continuing to add value and to increase profit share and to increase opportunity, then we're shrinking. And that's always been the case. And that's, growing is it's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. And it offers opportunity to our agents. So, through working with the leadership team, we're going to continue to set the vision for this company as a whole, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. And, then my biggest job is to help hold people accountable and give them support in order to execute that vision. Okay. And the second thing is capital. And that's, profitability, profit share for our office, which is also linked to growth, and human capital, protecting the awesome leaders that we have in place, our agents, helping retain our agents through leadership and programs. But really, giving, when you look at the human capital side, helping our leadership team continue to have opportunities with this growth because, they're amazing and we want everyone to have opportunities. And then the third is accountable, holding people accountable, which, again, is a blessing in this case because everyone is, doing an amazing job. So, it's just my job to use a football metaphor. I know you guys don't get these very often, but think of it, kind of like a GM and a coach, or the coach of the team and several coaches, but, the GM that kind of, sits back and just is another set of eyes, looking big picture, I would say. Is that fair?
I followed that. No doubt. I mean, that worked out well for me. So Mike, let's talk a little bit with you, kind of same question.
Yeah.
And I realize, there's Keller Williams terminology and then there's like common terminology. And Jake, I thought gave a good example of like the GM, in football. But for those of you who don't follow football or that doesn't make sense, don't sweat it. I dealt with that.
Then you not understood anything Scott said for the last 7 years.
I dealt with that for 7 years. So yeah, that's okay. And the text messages, what did that mean?
Yeah.
So, sorry, I tried. But certain titles are a little more common, people understand. So, you're moved to CEO.
Yeah.
First off, quick clarification. Somebody asked me, so who's the team leader now? I said, no. Oh my gosh. Mike is still the team leader. He's the team leader and CEO, just like I was the operating principal and CEO. It's not a situation where we have a new team leader. But how would you define your role to an average person, who's coming in and saying, Mike, what is it that you actually do?
Yep. So I'll build off of what Jake said. Jake in his role is very up and out, right? The future and vision of the company, interfacing with our international franchisor and things of that nature. Consider me down and in, right? So I am committed to helping agents grow their businesses. The ways that we're going to focus on doing that is through growth, increasing productivity, and then protecting the culture of the company. There's number 6. But if we focus, and so how does that show up? It's one-on-one consultation with agents as they grow and scale their business. It's connecting to the resources inside and outside of the office, whether it be our affiliate business or business resource partners. It's anything and everything that is going to touch you and your business. That's my focus. And then, by way of that, it becomes, that's how we build out a leadership team, why we have productivity coaches, and we have the staff that we have that focus on the things that they do, is to really nail down those 3 areas of growth, productivity, and culture.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, the title aside, the leadership team component is something that many market centers don't have. A lot of market centers try to emulate, and I'm not saying that they can't or that they shouldn't or that something we trademark. I think we just probably read a book and followed the instructions. But the way that this leadership team has worked, particularly since you became the team leader, but even really dating back to several years. I mean, this leadership team works as a team. It's amazing how when somebody is sick, when somebody's out, when the entire office is closed, when somebody's on the west side, when someone's at family reunion, it's like the ball never stops moving. I mean, checks are processed. Just for perspective, there are market centers that process checks 2 to 3 days a week. Like you close a deal on a Monday, you might get paid on Friday. Like that would be incomprehensible to our 450 agents. Like it's almost like you don't even realize how crazy that is. That we just jump right through that. There was a day where if you wanted a transmittal day, which is tomorrow, right? Tomorrow. Transmittal day. I got to keep up on this stuff still. Transmittal day is tomorrow. There was a day where the entire operations team would shut down on the first of the month. Transmittal day. Like if you had a question, your license got suspended. There was paper over the window, and you were not allowed to talk to the operations team. Like the fact that those kinds of things don't exist is a testament to to our leadership and to what you've really built here as team leader and now CEO over the past 18 months. And I appreciate what you did there. This is a real leadership team, not just a group of people who have a bunch of jobs that happen to meet once a week and listen to you talk about culture.
Well, I think that when the goal is appropriately large and important, right, which to everybody on the leadership team, it's about helping agents grow bigger businesses and live bigger lives. That makes everything else gets figured out. Like, and once everybody's committed to that, which everybody in this office is, everything else just you find a way, right?
You might say that we have a great culture. Couple things that the OP and CEO are not responsible for. I want to make sure that we help you guys here a little bit.
Appreciate that.
Andrew Ginter talked a little bit earlier. We also have this thing called a Facebook group. I got a lot of deal questions in 7 years as OP and CEO. And I don't know which one of the 2 of these guys you think should get them now. But the actual answer is really neither. If it is going to be one, it should be Mike.
Yeah.
But I want you to know, listen, both of these gentlemen are going to be willing to help our agents grow. There's no one who's going to shut the door in someone's face and say, that's not my job. I want to be clear about that. But that was a question that I got. Like, well, who do I go to now with my deal problems? And I said, were you like really going to me the whole time? That's dangerous for your sake. but our principal broker, our Facebook group are still the number 1 and 2 places to go when you have questions. So if you have something that's complex, it's private, it could be a legal matter, get to Andrew Ginter. If you have to get to somebody, get to Mike. If you can't get to Andrew or Mike, of course, go to Jake. Go to anyone on the leadership team, candidly. They'll get you to the right spot. And then when you do have deal questions, just as a point of clarity, pop them in the Facebook group. So that is still the spot. I still answer questions in there. I see questions getting answered. I saw somebody recently tag me in one. Ginter got there before I could respond. But you know, that is still the place to go for those kinds of things. That is a common one that I get. But make sure that you're getting those things to the right place. And I just wanted to bring that up because that was probably a frequent flyer question over the past month. And then lastly, what am I up to? You know, just so you guys know, I am still working. I'm an owner of the company. I'm working in kind of an emeritus role, helping Jake, helping Mike kind of continue to grow in how they're doing their job and provide a little bit of context for some things. You know, decisions come up. You know, we have outstanding matters that have been going on for years, or we're trying to grow the company a certain way, and it's been a work in progress for 18 months, or this person's coming over, or what have you. And so, you know, my role is to kind of sit here and kind of be on call in the event that anyone needs to chat. I have not disappeared. I'm pretty sure I still work on the 3rd floor of the building. So for those of you who are sending me like goodbye letters, like you'll never see me again, I'm still on floor 3 in Pepper Pike and working in real estate to the extent that I have time for. And just want you guys to know that is something that I'm always here for. You guys that care about the company. And I want to make sure that the promises that we made over the past 7 years continue to get fulfilled going forward. And if anything, we do what we say we're going to do, maybe even more than that as we look forward with more people. So
yeah, and I mean, I'll just jump in and say, one, that's huge. I don't want to speak for Jake, but you know, having the sounding board, because I know John Ludwig was that for you. Yeah, right. Absolutely. And you talk about things that might not exist in every Keller Williams franchise. You know, having the opportunity to go back to, you know, the other operating principals and brokers and CEOs and say, you know, hey, this is a problem I've got up on the whiteboard and can't quite solve. And then, you know, get feedback from you or John, or, you know, now Jake, and our relationship is tremendous. And, you know, hopefully never impacts any agent one way or the other, but will help us all achieve more.
Yeah, I think it allows for kind of, you know, successful transition of the roles and the responsibilities. And so I'm grateful that these guys allowed me to continue to do that as an investor in the company still, but also am committed to you who are watching and many who are going to watch later, you know, our agent body. You know, we've made a lot of lofty visions and promises and goals with and for you, and I want to make sure that we still continue to hit those just as badly as these guys do. So thank you for that. Mike, this is your show, so I have to let you kind of do what you want to do now to close out this party.
Well, we're not actually closing this party out. We're going to transition to our Tech Tuesday, which immediately follows. So we are we're right on time. We nailed it, and so very excited to have been able to share the Zoom screen with both of you gentlemen today, and appreciate, Scott, everything that you've done for our company, for Jake and myself. Yeah, and
all
Jake.
That stuff.
Yeah, all that just echoed.
Plus gratitude.
Culture. All right. So anyone who is interested in sticking around and talking a little bit about how to run Facebook campaigns to grow your database, that's what's next. But gentlemen, unless that's you, we'll see you when we see you.
Thank you, sir.